Here, this should help you feel better.
Thank you. It smells wonderful.
You're welcome.
The first laugh came from the medical bay's observation deck. It was sharp, clicking, unmistakably alien. Dr. Harask of the Valence species folded two of his forearms and flicked his tail in open contempt. Hot leaf water, he repeated, tasting the words like something spoiled. That is your solution? Cadet Mara Ilian didn't look up from the steaming cup in her hands. She sat on the floor beside the medical cradle, knees pulled close, back against the cold alloy wall of the Aegis Fleet carrier. The scent of chamomile and crushed bark leaves drifted softly in the sterile air, almost absurd among antiseptics and humming machines. Inside the cradle lay the cub. The Carrick's young were feared across 3 sectors, born predators, armored even at infancy, their kind responsible for the collapse of entire frontier colonies. Adults stood taller than humans, plated in overlapping bone scales, eyes glowing amber with calculated hunger. But this one was small. Barely the length of Mara's torso, its plate soft and pale, its claws weakly curled. Tubes ran from its chest into machines that beeped warnings no one could stop. Its breathing was shallow, irregular, dying. Fleet medicine had failed. The best xenobiologists had failed. The antitoxins synthesized from captured Carrick's blood had failed. And now a human cadet, lowest rank, no medical clearance, sat beside the cub with a cup of tea. "This is a violation of protocol," Harask snapped. "Remove her." The garrison guards shifted uneasily. None moved. Mara finally spoke. Her voice was quiet, steady. "In my culture," she said, "when someone is sick and nothing else works, we offer warmth, comfort, something familiar." She dipped a cloth into the tea and gently pressed it against the cub's cracked mandible, letting a single drop slide past its lip plates. The cub twitched. The monitors spiked. A sharp inhale echoed through the bay. Silence followed. Then chaos. The cub had been brought aboard 3 days earlier, retrieved from a derelict warship drifting near the Ashen Belt. The adult Carricks were dead, slain by something even they couldn't fight. Internal ruptures, nervous system collapse. Only the cub had survived. Barely. Fleet Command had ordered it studied, dissected if necessary. The Carricks were enemies. Knowledge was weaponry. But the cub deteriorated faster than expected. Its metabolism rejected nutrient gels. Its blood crystallized under standard thermal treatment. Every attempt to stabilize it sent its vitals crashing lower. The Carricks, it seemed, did not die easily, but when they did so completely. Mara had been assigned to sanitation duty in the medical wing. She wasn't supposed to be there when the cub screamed for the first time. It wasn't a roar. It was a thin, broken sound, closer to a child's cry than a predator's threat. She froze in the corridor, mop slipping from her fingers. And then she did something that would change everything. She went inside. For hours after that, she simply sat, said nothing, watched the cub's eyes follow her movements. She learned its patterns, how its breathing worsened when strangers approached, how its claws flexed anxiously at sudden noise. She brewed tea in her quarters that night, not because she thought it would cure an alien predator, but because she couldn't stand doing nothing. "You're anthropomorphizing," Harask said later, watching through the glass as Mara daubed the cub's mandible again. "This is not a human child." "No, but it's alive." The cub's tail shifted weakly. Its body temperature, previously dropping, stabilized. A technician stared at the monitor. "Doctor, the toxin markers are decreasing." Harask hissed in disbelief. "Impossible. The compound is neuroreactive. It should be fatal." Mara swallowed. Her hands trembled now with the weight of attention pressing in. "It's not medicine," she said softly. "It's familiar chemistry. Alkaloids, mild stimulants, anti-inflammatory compounds. Humans have used them for thousands of years." "For humans," Harask corrected. The cub exhaled, a long, shuddering breath. Then its eyes opened. Amber met brown.
The cub made a sound, low, vibrating, not pain, recognition. It leaned weakly toward Mara. Alarms blared. The guards surged forward. "Step back," someone shouted. Mara didn't move. The cub pressed its forehead, soft, unarmored, against her knee, and the alarms went silent. The medical bay froze. Even Harask said nothing. The cub's vitals stabilized fully within minutes, not cured, but alive. News spread through the fleet faster than plasma fire. A human cadet had succeeded where the fleet's best minds had failed, with T. Command demanded answers, investigations launched, protocol violations listed. Mara stood before a tribunal less than an hour later. "You endangered the crew. You interfered with classified research," an admiral barked. "Yes, sir," Mara said. "And yet, the cub is alive." Silence. The Carrick's cub was moved to a secure habitat. Mara was ordered to stay away. That night, every sensor in the habitat registered the same anomaly. The cub refused to sleep. It paced, scratched, cried. Its vitals spiked in distress. Sedatives failed. Containment fields hummed dangerously. Then the cub curled against the barrier and lay down, facing the corridor, where Mara stood. She hadn't meant to come, she just couldn't sleep. The cub pressed its body against the transparent wall and settled. Its breathing slowed. The guards exchanged looks. Orders crackled through comms. Let her in. They expected aggression. What they got was trust. Mara sat beside the cub, her back to the wall. It crept closer, cautiously, then curled against her side, warm and heavy. A predator that had terrified fleets across the stars slept beside a human, not on command, by choice. The footage went viral within the fleet. Morale shifted. For the first time, soldiers saw the Carricks not as monsters, but as beings capable of bond. The cub recovered slowly, each day stronger, each day more alert, and always it sought Mara. The fleet adopted protocols. New medical models were developed. T compounds were analyzed, synthesized, refined, but none worked as well as the original, brewed by hand, offered with care. Weeks later, the cub was strong enough to stand fully. Its armor plates hardened, its eyes burned brighter. Command prepared to transfer it to a research outpost. The cub refused to move. It planted itself in front of Mara and growled, low, resonant, unmistakably protective. The sound echoed through the carrier. Every Carrick's recording classified it as a pack claim vocalization. Ownership, bond. The implications were staggering. The tribunal reconvened, and this time the verdict was unanimous. Mara was reassigned not as sanitation crew, not as a cadet, but as the first human Carrick's liaison. The cub was not a specimen, it was an ambassador. Years later, when the first Carrick's fleet arrived under truce banners, their commanders asked a single question: where is the human who remembered how to care? And somewhere in the galaxy, over a simple cup of tea, a war ended before it could begin.